Hey guys, I just want to make a quick video for all of you guys who either have a real deal Sturmgewehr 44 or one of the reproductions like I have. This here is a DK44. It is a reproduction. It's not an original MP44. Let me make this a little bit bigger here for you guys. So I had some issues with it early on, shooting either the blanks or FMJs, and I learned a lot, and I wanted to pass that on to you guys because I think it's relatively easy if you spend 10 seconds, literally 10 seconds, to greatly improve the reliability of your firearm. Okay, so first things first, it's important to note that there is something special about how the operating system works in the gun and how it locks, right? So if you bear with me here as I awkwardly try to hold this firearm with my leg, if the bolt goes all the way forward, you're going to see it go down just a smidge. So it goes forward, in the last fraction of an inch, the bolt goes down. How can I possibly show you this so you can actually see it? Forward, forward. There, you saw it. So it goes down right there. The problem with that is that it's fighting the mainspring of the magazine while that happens. What does that mean? It means even with a perfectly tuned and well-built original or reproduction STG, you're not going to ever want to load this magazine to capacity. Because if you do, every time the gun tries to load, at least when the magazine is fully loaded, it's going to have to work really hard to compress this down. And that will rob the system of energy, which will make it more likely that a malfunction, like a failure to feed, will be induced where the bolt doesn't close all the way or something like that. So that's one problem. There's another problem that you're seeing right here. This here is no bueno, because as you can see, just with a tiny amount of pressure, I can push this bullet so far down that it barely gets out of the magazine. And that, unfortunately, is a problem with the ammunition, not with the gun. This ammunition that you can buy these days is out of spec. It's not out of spec to the point where it would be dangerous for you to fire it, but the main problem is that the shoulder right here, so not the neck that immediately holds the bullet, but the shoulder, the angled piece. I'm going to show you on a blank. This part that I'm pinching right here with both of my nails is slightly undersized. Not necessarily with the blanks, but with these PPU FMJs, which means that as you stack them up in the magazine, right, that tolerance difference stacks up with each subsequential round, essentially. And if you only have 5 in there or 10, it doesn't matter, but if you have a bunch, this is what happens. And when the carrier hits that bullet in the back, it'll have a tendency to nosedive and get caught. So what's the remedy for both of those issues? The fact that the operating system exerts downward pressure and has to exert downward pressure on the magazine, and that these bullets from PPU are slightly out of spec. Well, you simply don't load it to capacity. That may seem bad for you purists out there, but it's actually not, because even the Wehrmacht back then and the SS told their soldiers, as far as I know, to only load 25 rounds or less because of this issue that I just explained to you guys. The fact that the bolt has to come down a little bit to fully lock. So step 1, never load 30 into these mags. Personally, I like to load 20 to 22 into my magazines, partially because for a reenactment it conserves ammo and the mag changes look cool, and also because you have better function. And it's really annoying when you have a failure to feed or what have you. So I load, let's call it 22 rounds into each of these magazines. The other thing you can do and have to do is to make sure that there is no rattle in these magazines. So something that I noticed when shooting this is, do you see this little gap here that's also partially induced due to, well, actually this one here with the FMJs doesn't exhibit that problem, but let me show you a magazine with the blanks. Of course this one doesn't show it either. Anyways, it is possible, same deal, due to out of spec ammunition, that there is a gap back here and that the bullet does the opposite, where it's kind of angled upward. And if that happens, when the carrier tries to strike it here to strip it from the mag, like so, it can't do it because it cannot physically reach the tip, the upper edge of this casing. So what you can do is, first of all, I mean, if you don't have any issues, then you don't need to do anything. But what I found when shooting blanks in particular was the gun only worked reliably when I pulled the mag back just a little bit. And I also noticed that the mag had a lot of slop forwards and backwards. It's a very easy fix. It's not really visible. I mean, I know that I did it and I still have to really look for it. But what you can do is put your gun or your magazine in a vise and gently push like so. What that's going to do is it's going to gently mushroom out that section of the mag. You can just barely see it. It's so minor. And some mags fit better than others. On this one you can see it a bit more. See here? And what that does essentially is it has the same effect as if you pulled back on it. It's so slight, really, but I promise guys, I did it. And it basically changed it from where it would slosh around like this to where it would always sit like that. And that's what you want. If you insert the magazine into the gun, and let me get it out of this. You want it to have absolutely minimal play fore and aft. Minimal. If it does, you're asking for trouble. So this here, I mean, that may even be slightly too much, but before it was a lot. And if that happens, you're often going to see that the bolt will try to close, and there won't even be a bullet in front of the bolt. The bullet will just kind of be like halfway lodged up, and the bolt face will smash into here. That's a good indicator that it tried to grab it by this little indentation, or tried to just push it like so instead of pushing it from behind. If you get the mag seated correctly to where it's always in this backwards position, it'll feed much better. And now I'm at a point where, like at the last reenactment I shot, I don't even know, I think 7 mags, and I think I had two minor malfunctions that were easily cleared, and the gun was also super dirty. That could have added to it. So personally, I'm happy with that. But previously, it would be every 2 or 3 rounds that the gun would choke, and that's obviously not acceptable. So all you need to do to fix that is, first of all, take the mag, put it into a vise. You can obviously put some socks around it, some cloth or anything, to prevent any sort of marring of the finish. You can put it into your gun while you do that so that you cannot mushroom it out more than the magazine opening allows, right? And then all you have to do is just gently pull or push on this lever, close it a little bit, and then do a wobble check. And you should feel that the wobble, as you turn this around, decreases to where it's almost perfectly snug. You don't want it too snug because that makes changing the mag difficult, but that's what you want to do. If you did too much, don't cry. Just smash it like so, and take some of that distance here back out. May seem like a crude way of doing it, but I've found that this works very well, and that's what you should do. When it comes to the ammo, I mean, PPU is the best that we have right now. I have sent them 2 emails. I've shown them videos. They did respond, but they didn't really care. They said, oh, it works fine in our sample MP44, and that's the end of this email chain, essentially. They were not willing to make any sort of changes. I even showed them a link to a video where somebody had the same exact magazine and put surplus 8 quotes ammo in there, and the bullets would not do this here. Okay, which tells you that the mag was in spec and that it worked properly with real German or East German ammunition. And then he unloaded that mag, put this PPU stuff in it, and it would do this, which proves that PPU ammo is slightly out of spec. So what can you do? You can either try to get a bunch of, well, surplus ammo, which is corrosive. And as you can see, well, maybe not with this one, but rust is always an issue already if you actually use the gun. That doesn't get better if you shoot corrosive ammo. So personally, I would rather shoot the newly produced, poorly, sized, non-corrosive ammo. But that's just me. If you do shoot the corrosive stuff, you gotta use a lot of soap. This Dawn stuff here works pretty good. Ask me how I know, because I accidentally shot some Egyptian corrosive ammo, which was horrible ammo, through my MG34, and the barrel was so rusted. I mean, thankfully it was a non-matching, non-collectible barrel, and I got it very, very shiny again afterwards with a bronze brush, and I ran some water through it. But then 2 days later, it was partially rusted again. So that's how I learned that if you shoot corrosive ammo, especially that super cheap third world shit from Greece, or any of those countries, which you should not do, because some of that stuff is so dangerous, by the way. I mean, there's stories of Turkish ammo blowing up MG42s just because it was so crazy misshaped and too big that the bolt trying to shove it into the chamber ignited the round and caused an out of battery and destroyed a machine gun. So don't shoot this cheap shit. Buy good ammo. This here, for instance, is 1972 Portuguese non-corrosive 8mm Mauser. This is good ammo. This one works, but stay away from the cheap shit. If it's cheap for a reason, and you're just going to end up with 980 rounds of corrosive shit ammo that doesn't run. This here, by the way, was the exact ammo that I was shooting. Stay away from this shit. This Egyptian 1956 ammo looks good. It isn't good. I can tell you. But anyways, if you have this crap, or this crap's residue in your barrel, you're gonna have to literally wash it like a dirty dish. You're gonna have to dump a bunch of this Dawn into the barrel, dump a bunch of water in there, and get a bronze brush and go through there like 20 times, and then pour water through it, get it completely dry. And now that I did that, let me check before I show you guys. Yeah, now it's looking really, really nice again. It's tough to show you here. Let me try. Tough to show you, but just take my word for it. It's shiny. It was orange, okay? It was like actual orange, which is not the color you want to see in a machine gun barrel. So yeah, personally, I think the PPU is fine, but you have to know that you cannot blame DK Productions if you load 30 rounds in here, because it cannot work. If this thing dips like that and drags on this, you know, this rim here is going to drag on this if you do that. Plus, it can hit a piece of metal that's below the feed ramp. So I guess what you could do is you could grind off a little bit more here from each mag. You could change the feed ramp inside the gun to have less of a sharp edge and more of a beveled edge. You could do that, but that's not how the originals were. Like, you can shoot an original MP44 with an original mag, load 30 rounds of PPU in there, and you're gonna have issues if it's fully loaded. Okay, so do not blame the reproduction gun. It's an ammo issue. This stuff here, I know the guy that makes them, Kane from Left Behind Firearms. Really, really, really good dude. I love Kane. We're Valhalla brothers. We died together in multiple battles, reenacting, and we had a lot of fun doing it. I really like his ammo. It's very loud, but it also doesn't sit perfectly in these mags all the time. It depends on what kind of mag you have, etc. So just beware. You know, you're going to have to do a little bit of fitting with these. It's just how it is. If you don't like that, that's totally fine. Don't get a reproduction MP44 if you cannot handle that, because you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to do it. Another thing is, you know, these little ribs here. I'm noticing that this one here has them both very round. This one here has one slightly pushed in. All these details matter, right? All these details matter. And that is something you're just going to have to fiddle with if you want your MP44 to run very well. But anyways, just this little trick with putting it in a vise, and like I said, I mean, I showed you guys, I still can hardly see it, but it's slightly mushroomed out here and slightly elongated compared to what it was before. But that will take the slop out. It'll make it so that the bolt can hit the top of the rim of the case and actually feed the case. And if you do not load too many of them here to where this here stacks up, it is going to be able to hit the feed ramp and go into the chamber, and you can shoot. Lastly, something that really helps is breaking this gun in, because at least in my gun, this gun is from the very first batch. Even though the serial number is 83, I know for a fact that I was among the first 25 to ever be delivered. And it, you know, had a certain finish on the bolt carrier. I don't know what it was. It looked kind of Parkerized. A lot of that finish is now polished off through use. I can show you guys real quick. Just give me 1 second. And that has made the gun cycle a lot smoother. So if you look at this now, you see these wear spots here where the finish has come off. That is actually what you want, because that is the gun removing all the high spots during operation where it rubs against the inside of the receiver. That's causing added friction, and that's when you sometimes get weak ejection or failure to feed and things of that nature. So I think I have approximately 500 rounds on this gun now, half of which Well, actually more than that. So I think I shot around 500 rounds of blanks and probably 300 rounds of FMJs. So let's say 800 rounds. And now I personally feel like it runs pretty well. If only I could get it back in there. There you go. You can just feel it as you reassemble it too. It's a much smoother operation. So anyways, I'm not going to bother you with putting it all back together, but wanted to give you these quick little tips in case you are struggling with getting your MP44 running properly. I think it's a very fun gun to shoot and to use at reenactments, but don't load too many rounds. Be mindful of PPU ammunition, and never ever shoot it with the BFA in there when you're shooting FMJs, because I did that, and thankfully I didn't even have this disc in here, right? It was just the holder for the disc in the front that I had in here, and it damaged the gun. I had to send it back in. They're kind enough to fix it. I think it cracked one portion of the bolt carrier because, I mean, it was basically a semi barrel obstruction. So I'm really glad that there was nothing catastrophic that happened there. But yeah, just be mindful of that. You know, things can break if you abuse them. All right, well, I hope that helps. If this helped you with your issue, would be super cool if you could comment and tell me about it. I'd be super happy if this helped you in any way. Have a great day, guys.